Looks fun, eh? Because who doesn't enjoy console gaming? While you're more likely to see a console hooked up to a TV, it's becoming more popular to use them with monitors too. But because monitors are mainly designed for PC gaming, it can be hard to know which ones are the best for consoles like the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Hey, I'm Nicholas from RTINGS.com. Today we're going to take you through exactly that. We've independently tested over 360 monitors in the past 7 years without any sponsors or sample units, so we know a thing or two about them. We also make sure every monitor we test works with a PS5 and Xbox, and we see which signals they support. Plus we measure other factors that impact your gaming performance, like input lag, motion handling, and picture quality. So, which are the best monitors for gaming with a PS5, PS5 Pro, and Xbox Series X or S? To start, you're probably wondering what you need in a monitor for console gaming. There really isn't much to it, but there are still a few important factors you should think about. First off, connecting the console to the monitor is pretty easy. Just use HDMI. All monitors these days have HDMI, but that doesn't mean they all support any signal with a console. That depends on the exact HDMI version the monitor has. Because the PS5 and Xbox both support HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, you'll also want a monitor that does too. This allows for 4K signals up to 120Hz, whereas HDMI 2.0 limits you to 4K at 60Hz. On the other hand, HDMI 2.1 also allows the monitor to support VRR with a PS5, but there are some HDMI 2.0 monitors that also support it. Most monitors support VRR with an Xbox though. Besides that, the monitor's size and resolution are also considerations. Getting a 4K monitor results in the most detailed and sharp images. This is great for playing graphically intense games. But both consoles also support 1440p signals, which is great because there are a ton of solid 1440p gaming monitors out there. Size is more of a personal preference, so there's no perfect choice. Just keep in mind that the consoles don't support ultra-wide signals, so if you choose to get an ultra-wide monitor, you'll see black bars on the sides. When getting down to the performance aspects, there are two really important factors. The first is the response time, which impacts motion handling. A faster response time means better motion and less blur with fast-moving content. The second is input lag. This is the delay that the monitor adds. The lower, the better. Don't worry though, most monitors have low enough input lag for console gaming and add only a tiny bit of delay compared to how much you're getting from the console or controllers themselves. The last thing you may want to think about is picture quality. This doesn't necessarily impact the gaming performance, but with so many games supporting HDR, you might want to get a monitor that makes them look their best. Factors that contribute to good picture quality include a high contrast ratio for deep blacks, bright highlights, and vivid colors. High-end monitors tend to match even the best TVs in terms of picture quality, but many lower-end monitors are still a step behind TVs for this. Plus, only a handful of monitors support Dolby Vision with an Xbox, which many more TVs support. Now that we know what to look for, we can get right into our top picks. The best monitor that you could get for console gaming with a PS5 or Xbox is the Asus ROG Swift PG27 UCDM. It's a 27-inch 4K display that offers pretty much anything you'd want in a monitor. Motion looks sharp thanks to its fast response time. It has low input lag for a responsive feel. It works without any issues with a PS5 or Xbox. And most importantly, its picture quality is one of the best you can get on any monitor. This is because its QD OLED panel offers deep blacks in dark rooms, bright highlights, and vivid colors for a realistic and punchy image. Plus, it even supports Dolby Vision with an Xbox, which is a nice touch for a monitor. It isn't the only monitor of its kind that you can get, and honestly, you can't go wrong with any high-end 4K QD OLED. One of those is the Asus PG32 UCDM, which is pretty much a larger version of the PG27 UCDM, but tends to cost a bit more. There are some cheaper models you could consider, like the Dell AW2725Q, but it doesn't get as bright. That said, if you don't have the budget for such a high-end monitor, there are some fantastic options you could get in the upper mid-range price category. These are still premium monitors, with some trade-offs versus flagship models. If that's what you're interested in, look into the Asus ROG Strix XG27AC-DNG. It's another QD OLED, so it has many of the same benefits as the PG27 UCDM. Fantastic picture quality, low input lag, and sharp motion. But the one difference is that this monitor has a lower 1440p resolution, so it can't deliver the same detailed and sharp images. Even though it supports 4K signals from consoles, it has to downscale them to 1440p. This is still useful because the Xbox only supports HDR with 4K signals, so at least you could use HDR at 120Hz. One downside of QD OLEDs like this one or the PG27 UCDM is that blacks look purple in bright rooms. This is because the panel lacks a polarizer, causing the black levels to rise. You could consider a WOLED like the Asus XG27 AQ-DMG if that concerns you, as blacks are deeper in bright rooms. But it doesn't deliver the same vivid colors as on the XG27 AC-DNG. If our previous pick is still out of your price range, you could step down to a mid-range option. While you won't be getting an OLED panel here, the best model at this price point is the Acer Nitro XV275K, which uses mini LED backlighting. While it doesn't have the same perfect blacks as on an OLED, it still has a decent local dimming feature that helps improve the contrast ratio. And an advantage is that it gets much brighter than any OLED, which is something to consider if you're going to use it in a bright room. Motion also looks sharp for fast-paced games, but it just isn't the same as on an OLED. It also supports HDMI 2.1 bandwidth and has low input lag with 120Hz signals, but not at 60Hz, so gaming can feel less responsive. This is a problem with the PS5 for playing games at 60Hz, but not with an Xbox because you could just set the refresh rate to 120Hz in the console settings. If you have a PS5 and that concerns you, check out something like the LG 32GR93UB. It's more responsive, but it has worse picture quality because it doesn't have a local dimming feature, so there are trade-offs. There are some solid models you could get even as you move into the budget category. Our recommendation here is the popular AOC Q27 G3XMN. It has mini LED backlighting like the Acer, which is a nice touch for a low-cost monitor. This means it has good local dimming with deep blacks and bright highlights, and it also displays a wide range of colors for a vivid image. If you want something even brighter with better local dimming, there's also the similar AOC Q27 G40 XMN, which is available at Best Buy in North America. You can't go wrong with either of these models, but the G40 has a few more bugs than the G3 model. Of course, there are some trade-offs versus the higher-end Acer. It has a lower resolution, so images aren't as sharp, and the biggest downside is that it lacks HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, so it doesn't downscale 4K at 120Hz from either console. This means you can't get HDR at 120Hz on an Xbox, and it doesn't support VRR on a PS5, but this is what you should expect in the budget category. At least it has low input lag for a responsive feel, and it has a fast response time, but there's some black smearing with fast moving objects. And lastly, if you want a basic and cheap monitor for console gaming, there are some decent options out there, but you're losing out a lot on performance. This is where it might be worth spending more on one of the monitors we've already talked about, or even just getting a cheap TV. Regardless, if this is what you're in the market for, the Samsung G55C is an okay option. It's a 27-inch 1440p display like the AOC, and it supports nearly the same signals from consoles. But it doesn't have a local dimming feature, resulting in worse picture quality. Sure, it has a high native contrast ratio, but it just doesn't deliver that HDR performance you should be looking for. It also has a lot worse motion handling than the AOC, so it's something to consider more if you play slower games than those with a ton of action. It at least has very low input lag with 120Hz signals, but not at 60Hz. Like we said, this monitor isn't anything special, but at least it serves its purpose as a very cheap gaming monitor. Well, that's it for the best monitors to get for gaming with consoles like the PS5, PS5 Pro, and Xbox Series X or S. Most of these picks are also valid for the Nintendo Switch 2, but that doesn't support all the same signals and features as a PS5 or Xbox. Would you like to see a video about the best monitors for the Switch 2? Let us know. There are a lot of great monitors we haven't mentioned either, so don't worry if your monitor isn't here. As long as it makes you happy and it's the right monitor for your needs, that's what counts. You could visit our website for full reviews and more recommendations. Plus, if we haven't tested a monitor you want to see, You could vote for it on our website. So which monitor is the one for you? Do you agree or disagree with our picks? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I'm Nicholas from RTINGS.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. Ciao. If that's what you're interested in, look into the Asus ROG Strix XG27 ACTMG. This is because the best model at this price point is the oh my god, I'm stumbling. But not with an Xbox. But oh god, I think I'm hungry, and I'm just like, I'm hungry.